Well, hello everyone, and welcome again to the Spare Change podcast. I'm not sure if we called it. Anything different other than the Spare Change podcast, but thank you for being here. And I know you're all expecting Shane. Shane is actually in the room with me. Shane, if you want to show people yourself, that way we can confirm that you're actually here and that I'm not here by myself and here to bore you guys with my strong opinions on certain brands or lack thereof. But today we're going to talk about cables and speakers. Because I'm not sure if you've noticed, but there's a little channel on YouTube called Alux, and I think they've got like 3 million followers or so. And on their latest video, they talked about how one of the products that is actually worth it, that's considered luxury, actually it was in their bonus scene, because they usually do a 15 video. They do a video that has 15 elements to it. Their bonus scene was luxury cables. And they said that Forbes said that luxury cables aren't worth it. We beg to differ because we've heard some stuff. I mean, I've heard some stuff today. You know, the situation is ending as far as the world pandemic. And now I'm back in Spare Change Studios. I'm very thankful for that. Very thankful for Shane for inviting me. Thankfully, because of that, I have now been able to firsthand hear what expensive cables sound like. We've done a video about it. Shane did a video explaining the different cables that are out there and how some of them may not be in most people's price category, but in other people's minds, such as a buddy of mine named by the name of Jim Brower, who I've done a video with on my channel. If you could look my channel up, it's Elias Rosario.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, well, he commends these kinds of cables. He says that if you're spending, $8,000, $26,000 on speakers, that you need cables that equal those speakers to get the most out of it. In some people's minds, they believe if they're able to squeeze another 1% out of a speaker by buying cables, that it's worth it. In our case, so far, knowing what it is, not a blind test, we'll get there eventually. But so far, these expensive cables sound pretty damn good. And Shane, if you want to switch the camera over to you for a second, because I just have to show these people the boxes of these cables, the boxes that these cables come in, the size of these boxes. I mean, normally these kinds of boxes, you would expect old school PC games to come in these size boxes. Cables coming in these boxes, not old school PC games like Half-Life 1 or Counter-Strike for that matter. Cables for home theater are coming in these boxes. Pretty ridiculous, but well worth it, in my opinion. Now, someone's going to say, well, he can't afford them. I've heard them, though, and I've heard the cheap stuff. But I realize that there's a lot of folks who debunk the expensive cable theory, and I'll just say this. I'm not speaking from hype. Again, I said that we didn't do the blind test yet. When we do the blind test, who knows? I may like the monoprice cables better.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Right? I'm just saying that right now, and it could be due to that Marantz player. It could be due to that Marantz receiver, because before when we tested out the Bowers Wilkins 803 D3s, I initially heard them on some cheap cables and the Marantz, I believe, 1605, which is, subpar for what you would want to play the 803 D3s on. But when it comes to 803 D3s, you would want some good cables. I'm not sure that you have to go crazy expensive, but I will say that the crazy expensive ones sound pretty damn good. But again, maybe it's the processor and the amps that is blinding my judgment here. But we will find out with the blind test. Now, I came into the stream really hyped up about these cables, but I'm here right now to tell you that the truth is I may have been blinded by the fact that I am listening to these 803 D3s on a different processor and a different amplification system. And that's probably why I like these cables so much. Maybe I don't like these cables so much. We're going to find out in the blind test. I for one, personally speaking, I'm going to be honest. This isn't my main hobby. I'm trying to cut corners wherever I can. I'm trying to cut corners anywhere. A lot of places people cut corners is cables. Are the cables worth it? I don't know yet. I still have to show you guys the box. Shane, over to you.
All right, so I think you're trying to tell everybody that expensive cables sound expensively good. Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, when I came in, if you wouldn't have told me that these are the, X cables, right?
Yeah.
Such and such cables, I would have just went in listening and I would have said, okay, whatever. I can't tell you what I would have said. I really can't because that didn't happen, right? So that's why I keep referring to this blind test that I'm talking about. I keep plugging this blind test because I hope we're going to be able to do one. Because with the blind test, that will help us determine, wow, these cables don't make a difference. I remember once my friend Jim Brower tried to give me the blind test with HDMI cables, and I couldn't tell the difference. And it was on the Z9.
I'm not sure HDMI cables would make a difference because it's basically just digital showing a picture. You know what I mean? Just the ones and O's. I think it either works or not for HDMI.
Well, I mean, AudioQuest does sell HDMI cables.
Yeah.
And they do tout that it's not about what you gain, it's about what you don't lose. To me, that seems a little bit of like a cop-out remark. It's not what you gain, it's about what you don't lose. Well, what if I'm not losing anything with monoprice cables? When am I not losing with AudioQuest cables? See what I'm saying?
I guess so.
Let me bring over the box. I gotta show these guys the box.
Show them the show them the box. I don't think that's going to change anybody's mind. The box. But we are going to have the blind shootout coming up. I'm going to say maybe like a week or so, when we can all free our schedules up.
No one wants to catch what's going out.
Yeah, we've been
So
listening
we have
to
to work around everyone's schedules. We have to be mindful of the incubation period and so
But-
on and so forth.
But let's just get this straight first, though. Let's get this straight first, though.
What's that?
$6,000 for cables. That is kind of ridiculous.
It's too much. You know what I can do with $6,000?
That is ridiculous.
That's 60% of the cost of the camera that I want. The Sony FX9.
Yeah.
So
How much does that hooker
That's one
cost?
box.
How much does that hooker cost that charges you every weekend?
that what? Here's the other one.
That's the one we've been listening to.
William Tell.
William Tell by wire.
And if I'm not mistaken, someone commented. I think it might be one of the folks that are actually in the inner circle. They commented, and they said, "Well, might as well call it that." Stealing from the poor and taking from the rich, or stealing from the rich and taking from the poor.
Listen. So
It's all fun. It's all fun.
yeah. So
I know personally, me speaking, me being
I
real,
get
me
it.
being me, I'm not spending that much money on cables.
I wouldn't spend $6,000.
But I would like to know what they sound like, and these sound pretty good.
I would say, like, if I was gonna buy cables, if I had those, if the 803s were mine and I bought those, I would say the max on cables I would probably buy is like $1,000. That's if they sounded good, and I tested them out and they sounded good.
But for a pair of cables for your main stage,
Yeah, I would spend a max $1,000. $6,000 kind of ridiculous, regardless of how good they sound. As far as like a price comparison, if we're gonna say like the speakers are 20 grand, the speaker cables, I would say be about $1,000. You know what I'm saying? I don't think if you bought like $500 speakers, you're gonna spend $1,000.
no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Listen, if you're spending $20,000 on speakers, what's another $1,000 on cable?
you're right. You know, and I hate to bring up comparisons because every time you bring up every time you bring up comparisons, there's always those people out there that say, well, that's not a good comparison. But the one that I can think about right now is when you buy a nice luxury vehicle. When you buy a nice luxury vehicle, say it's from 2008 until now, that takes gasoline. What does the manufacturer recommend? For example, an Acura TLX. I believe the Acura TLX Acura themselves, the luxury version of Honda, recommends that you buy premium gasoline. Don't go plus, don't go regular unleaded. Go premium. Recommended. Not I'm sorry, not recommended, required. It's required that you go premium. And at a Shell gas station, that would be, because that's what I go to, that would be V-Power. Now, you may not notice performance degradation now, but down the line you will. That's a vehicle. Again, people out there, that's why I hate to bring up comparisons, because someone's always going to say, well, that's not a good comparison. But basically what I'm trying to say is that you're going to get the most out of the TLX, 2020 TLX, per the manufacturer's guidelines, and that is if you put in V-Power, or that is if you put in premium gasoline. And that just means that the pistons are going to be healthy, they're going to be running at their maximum horsepower. With speakers, these speaker companies don't recommend any specific sort of cables. They never do.
Yeah.
They recommend, hey, if you want this, go buy wire, which is also questionable to some folks, or buy ampable. But they never recommend a specific kind of speaker cable, and that's because they know themselves that the speaker cable game is always changing, and that it's very debatable. And that's that. So I believe that there should be some manufacturer that recommends at least a specific gauge wire. Does that make a difference? Would that make a difference? I believe it would, because
I would think the bigger gauge,
right,
the thicker cable, make the biggest difference.
Right, but these manufacturers don't even recommend a gauge don't even have a gauge requirement.
Well, that's like saying speakers are worth $20,000 or $40,000 or $50,000. And of course, the speaker manufacturers would say, well, these speakers are $50,000. You're not going to buy $20 cables with them. You're going to be all right spending $10,000.
Okay, I understand.
50.
So it's almost as if it's implied that if you spend anything within this realm, you automatically know that the salesman who sold you said speaker is going to sell you on some $1,000 cables.
Correct, yeah.
Naturally.
Yeah.
Bare minimum.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Listen, if you saved all your money up, you bought $50,000 speakers, are you going to go to Walmart and buy a spool of $30 cable?
I probably wouldn't, because the shop that I buy the Bowers and Wilkins 803 D3s from are probably going to be a boutique shop anyways. It's probably going to be a boutique shop, and they're going to have cables that match that level of
and if you have the money to spend $50,000, $20,000 on speakers, are you the DIY kind of person, or
probably not? No, I'm the kind of guy that I'm a regal kind of person.
Yeah,
I'm a regal person. That's the best word I can think of at the moment to describe myself if I'm spending that kind of dough, if I'm spending that kind of spare change.
Yeah, so that's where I think these cables come into play. Could you possibly get performance that the $6,000 cables get with a pair of $100 cables? Probably.
I guess if I was curious, I would have to hear both. I'm not that person. I'm gonna admit, guys, I'm not that person. I just test this stuff. I'm just an innocent bystander, right? And I'm just, with my years of experience in video and audio production at a studio and filmic level, I'm just being an innocent bystander, testing this on the sole entertainment value level and enjoyment level. Pop open a few beers, listen, enjoy yourself. It sounds good, and I'm not in the position to spend $20,000 on speakers, so I can't say that I would also spend $2,000 extra on speakers. But if I were in that position, I guess it would depend on how much money I had left. But you're right, though. I understand your point. If you're spending $20K on speakers, you most likely have some sort of disposable income to say yes to the Williams House cables.
Yeah, there's always some hardcore vitriol when it comes to speaker cables and money.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to say, is it warranted? Sure, there's a little bit. Yeah, I think it's warranted. But I mean, listen, if you are spending $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on speakers, I think it's implied that you're going to spend an extra X amount of dollars on speaker cables, regardless, because you're that type of person that's got the money to spend it. So
Yeah,
you're gonna
I
spend
mean,
it.
I think sometimes a lot of us, we think too much. At least I do. I'll be the first one to admit that sometimes it may sound like I contradict myself, and it's partly due to the fact that I overthink things a lot. But if I were to simplify things for this matter, I would say this. I would say, where are you buying your speakers from? You're buying your speakers from, for example, Value Electronics, right? Reputable. They know their stuff. Shout out to Robert. But if you do that, you're not buying your cables from the dollar store.
Nope. You're not gonna buy $40,000 speakers and go to the dollar store and buy speaker cables. You're just not gonna do it. That's why these that's why the speaker cables exist. That's why they exist.
I think no, because a lot of people plug monoprice,
I
and I think even when you consider monoprice, you're going off of their reputation, because monoprice has been out for a very long time.
you're not buying 20,000 speakers and going to monoprice to buy cables. You're just not doing that.
I know, but some people will though. Some people will, and what I'm saying is that
No, they're not doing that.
no,
No. If I got $20,000, I can afford $20,000 buying speakers.
no, but what I'm
I'm
saying
not going
is
to
that
monoprice.
no, but what I'm saying is that
Listen.
you might have people that might say that they will do that.
This might hurt some feelings, but if you have like Elax or Clipshes or whatever, you might go to monoprice. But if you have 20 grand to drop on speakers, you ain't going to monoprice. You're going to buy them where you bought the speakers.
That's what I said earlier.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that you might have those guys out there that will say, listen, cables don't mean shit. And, I mean, I said it on my channel that I've heard cables are the unsung hero of audio. But, excuse me, other people say otherwise. And you will have those people that will say, I'll buy nothing but monoprice.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm trying to say is, even when they go with monoprice, they're still taking into account some sort of company reputation, because monoprice has been out for a while.
Yep.
And they're still valuing their reputation as a company that can produce a quality speaker cable.
At an affordable price.
But that is the caveat, yeah, that it's affordable, and that's what they like about it.
Yep.
But again, my thing still stands. You're not buying speakers from Value Electronics and buying cables from the dollar store.
Yeah.
At least you shouldn't.
Yeah, if you're doing that. All right, kudos to you if you're doing that. But I don't think you're going to do that though. You're not going to buy a Sony A9H and then buy an HDMI cable from the dollar stores. Here's what you're saying.
I mean, that's a very good vlog opportunity for someone out there who is jobless. You know, my heart goes out to you. But
If you're jobless, you're not buying an OLED.
well, I mean, you might have that, government stimuli coming in. But what I mean is, if you guys are out there and that's you, that's a good vlogging opportunity. We'd love to see your video.
And speaking of Monoprice is going to be part of our shootout. We're going to be scheduling a shootout very soon. One of the partners of the channel, of the shootout, is going to be Monoprice. They're partnering with us. They're going to be supplying us some of their premium Monoprice cable, monolith cables. AudioQuest obviously gave us their William Tells and Robin Hood cables.
Yep.
I think the Monoprices are like $40-$50 or something like that for like a 10-foot pair. And then the Robin Hood and the William Tells. Robin Hood's $4,000. The William Tells are $6,000. And then we have some Kimber cable 12-footers, which are the 12 TCs, which are about $1,200. So I think we're hitting some different price points. We're hitting the very affordable budget price point, which is $50-$60. We're hitting the $1,000 price point, which is Kimber cable, and then a couple of $1,000 ahead of that is AudioQuest with $4,000. Then the ultra high end, not ultra high end, but ultra high end with $6,000. So we're hitting 4 different price points that we're gonna do. Apparently, we're supposed to do this in mono with only one speaker.
What is that?
According to like Floyd Tool, or that's what I've been hearing. But then we might mix that into the shootout. But we're probably gonna do 2-channel though, because I think if we don't do 2-channel, people are just gonna hate the fact that we're not doing 2-channel.
Well, whenever someone demos anything for you, they demo something with 2 speakers.
Yeah.
And the bare minimum requirement for a 2-channel demo is how's the stereo imaging. That's kind of like baseline requirement right there. If you don't have that, it's like, what are you showing me? A Bluetooth speaker? or a soundbar.
Mm-hmm. And then, so they're going to be providing cables for us, and then also their music is going to be supplied.
Whose music?
By Qobuz.
Oh, okay.
Well, the music service. We're going to be streaming over. We're going to be streaming digitally using Qobuz, using high-res tracks. I think we're actually only going to be using one track. My idea was one track only amongst 4 cables. Three participants, me, Elias, and probably Brian, another YouTuber, which has been on the channel. He's covered like TV reviews. You can check out his channel, which is Whisper Status 74. I think he was born in 74. I don't know. But he's going to be here. He's going to be another participant. So we're going to do maybe a minute per track of each of the song per cable. And then after the minute, we're going to switch in and out. And then afterwards, each of us is going to take a turn. Between each cable switch, we're going to either turn the chair around. We're going to turn the chair around so we don't know what's going on, what the switch is going to be. And then we'll turn back around. Everything's good to go. Hit play. We'll have a little notepad. We'll write down what we're experiencing. Then at the end, either 1, 2, 3, or 4, we're going to rank them in order. And then we'll find out who is the winner. Either it's going to be AudioQuest, Kimber Cable, or Monoprice. And we did some listening today. We don't want to say exactly what we heard, but we heard some things today.
Well, I just have to say this. I would like the community to tell us what we should listen to. You said it's only one song.
Yeah.
I would like the community to tell us what to listen to, because I envision a future in which we do this video and folks will tell us, well, you used the wrong song. And I just don't want to hear that from you guys. I want there to be a consensus that says, or a poll with an established consensus that goes, well, this is the song that the community has chosen.
I think I could put up a poll here.
And then that's the one that we listen to.
Yeah,
because I have music that I want to listen to, but it's not the kind of music that audiophiles would listen to. It's electronic, and that's how I test speakers. What that says about me as an audiophile, I really don't care what you think about that, because that's just my personal taste. I actually don't envision 100 years from now that the only benchmark for audio 100 years from now is going to be music tracks that exactly replicate what you heard on stage in the 60s and 70s. They're going to be music tracks that really give the speakers a freaking workout, okay? I don't think Duran Duran, A View to a Kill, is going to give these 803 D3s that workout that it needs to really flex its bottom low end to 16 hertz. Okay? Maybe another track with good bass, but not that track. So essentially what I'm saying right now is I would like you guys to choose a track that is, by the community, something that everyone agrees on, and quite frankly, is good across the entire range that these speakers can perform with.
Yeah. So if you guys have an idea of a track, then type in the comment section right now. Leave us a comment if you could think of a track that encompasses everything from like good soundstage, having good mid-range, bass, detail, nice spacious mix. If you guys can think of something, write it down in the comment section, and then we'll throw that in, because I think just for brevity's sake, I think one track will be good, because there's 3 of us in 4 cables.
I kept saying at least 2, but I'm gonna take your lead on this. 1. I said that there should be at least 2, but I'll take your lead and go at 1. But that's the that's sort of like the rule that I'm making, is that hopefully the suggestions that we get, they like the tracks encompass the entire range of what these speakers can do.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
16 hertz all the way up. Some good treble. Stuff
Treble.
like that. Work out that tweeter. Work out that mid range. So
Yeah,
on and
good
so forth.
Yeah, good treble, good bass.
Work out the low end.
Nice sound stage, nice spaciousness to it.
Give me a good center. Give me a good two stereo imaging. So I feel like the person's singing in the middle, or so I feel like there's voices in the middle, right? That phantom center that you guys talk about.
Mm-hmm. I just joined. What's up?
Just a mixture of everything that you would look for in a 2-channel demo.
That's what I think would be the best. I don't think anybody wants to watch us for like 2 hours listening to songs.
Mm-mm.
Oh, and speaking of which, I think once we do the stream, we're going to mute the music because we don't want to get stuck with copyright.
Yeah.
But we're also going to record it at the same time, so we'll put out a separate video with the music that we're listening to, with whatever our reactions would be. And then I'll do a separate video at the same time, like a condensed version, like a before and after. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Just in case you don't want to listen. Just in case you don't want to watch us listening to the music.
The TLDR review.
Yeah.
Too long, didn't read.
Real quick, maybe
Too,
like a
TLDW. Too long, didn't watch.
Mm-hmm. But we're gonna pick a day that listen. I live in an apartment on the second floor, so it's a little hot up here. So we want to pick a day where AC's not cranking, the ceiling fan's not cranking, so it can be nice and quiet and everybody's comfortable.
Yep.
So I'm hoping in like another week or two we can crank this out. But like I said, man, if you guys have any ideas for music, one solid track, we're gonna come back and read these comments, and we're gonna put that into our pool of tracks that we're gonna listen to. And again, man, brands that are going to be participating in this is Monoprice, AudioQuest, Kimber Cable, and Qobuz. Qobuz is going to supply the high-res track that we're going to be using. Maybe the next time we'll use Tidal, but for now, it's going to be Qobuz.
Just want to give a special shout out to all these brands that are, making do with the current situation as far as everyone working remotely. We thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to test out your equipment as far as the cables are concerned, and the streaming service, Qobuz.
Mm-hmm.
We thank you very much for giving us the ability to properly test out your service. Without your help, something like this wouldn't be possible. Without the current situation that we're in, this pandemic, we wouldn't be doing something like this. Maybe this would be a show somewhere in New York. But because of the resources we have at our disposal here at Spare Change Studios, and because of the willingness of you guys, brands, and subsequently you guys, our viewers, we thank you all very much for not only anticipating such a test, but also to the brands, we thank you very much for allowing us, or giving us the equipment to accomplish the test. So, cheers to you guys, all of you.
Can you imagine the hate if the most expensive cable wins?
Yeah, that would be quite the day, I would say, right? That would be pretty interesting. If the most expensive cable wins, I'm going to say it right now.
Yeah.
If the most expensive cable wins, I hope people don't expect of themselves that they have to buy the most expensive cable.
Yeah.
Because they don't. Because it's just, to me personally, I feel that it's morally wrong that you have to buy the most expensive.
Mm-hmm.
I get the whole talk about, like I said, about, well, if you're buying, from value, then you shouldn't go to the dollar store and you buy your cable.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you should buy the most expensive cable at value. You should buy a cable at value, but you should be a little wary of your other hobbies and your other expenses and things like that you might want to put your money towards. And back to that point of cables being the unsung hero of audio, I'll always say that because I think that's something that AudioQuest said, or a designer, an engineer at AudioQuest said something like that. At least buy the bottom end or the mid tier of the premium cables, right? If you're spending that much on cables. But again, like you said, if the most expensive cable wins, I hope that doesn't upset people to the point where they feel that they have to buy the most expensive cables to get the most, or to enjoy, I should say, because we all know that like to get the most out of a system, I guess. Well, I can't say that. We haven't done the test yet.
Yeah.
But some people expect that to get the best and get the most out of your cable, out of your speakers, you have to buy the most expensive cable.
You got to pay to play.
Yeah. In my heart, don't believe that that's the case. I believe you can get away with the bottom end of the premium.
Mm-hmm.
But other folks out there will say otherwise, and they'll buy into the quote-unquote snake oil.
Yeah.
And then there's another subset of folks that say, no, as long as it's working, it's fine. So, in other words, I'm trying to say I hope there's a middle ground that people can all agree on. And hopefully that's what I choose as the victor, but we'll see. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Can't say anything yet. We'll see. All I know is that what I heard today sounded really good.
If like Monoprice wins, shit's gonna go crazy.
Absolutely.
It's going crazy.
I wouldn't be mad. I would not be mad.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad either.
I'll just say
just
keep up the good work, Monoprice, if that's the case, if that's what happens.
And AutoQuest, don't be upset. Don't be upset with us. If you guys
They would,
lose.
but you know what? I will still tell them. I would say, look, listen, your shit still looks better.
It does look better.
Right? The packaging is still better.
There's no doubt. The cables definitely look better than anything else.
It's not like you sound like shit.
Yeah.
You sound good, but for whatever reason, in this time-space continuum, I heard that cable XY sounded better. But we're not there yet, so we're just speculating. This is purely speculative. I just want to make that clear.
Let's face it. They get 2 out of 4 cables. The chances of them coming in number 2 is pretty good, though.
Who?
AudioQuest.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that.
I mean, number 2 is not bad. I mean, it's first place loser, but still pretty good. It's runner up.
Right.
So we're definitely excited to try that out, and I think we're going to be the only channel to be doing this. Like nobody has done this on YouTube.
I mean, I technically could have been the first. I just didn't think about this. But that just goes to show you guys.
Anybody could have been the first.
No, but what I'm saying is that I got that video on my page, Jim Brower's Macintosh 803D3.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Brower setup, Macintosh.
And
Macintosh amplification and processing with the Bowers Wilkins 803D3. Let me correct myself. It sounded like I said that Macintosh makes 803D3s. They don't, but they're owned by the same company, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now.
Wait. No, that's Rotel.
No, that's Rotel. That's Rotel. My bad.
But how would we? Of course. Here's the thing. Here's the thing about us judging the cables. What really makes it the best, though?
What makes it the best? What makes a good cable? What makes it? No, but this is what I'm saying.
Because everybody does hear differently.
I guess
I think what makes it the best is what happens if we all bet on the same cable.
Uh-huh.
Does that mean we all have the exact same taste in sound?
Look, you know what kind of music I like, all right? You know what I'm looking for when it comes to sound.
Yeah.
I want it to feel like, and let's just say that we're using something like a band's performance.
Mm-hmm.
Let's name a band. Name a band. Like a...
Duran.
Okay, Duran. I want to feel like they are there,
mm-hmm.
and that the soundstage with its stereo imaging
mm-hmm.
and with the lead singer walking across the stage from left to right and right to left, I want to make it feel like, I want it to sound like that I'm there in the front row, that I'm in the pit and I'm right in front of the stage, center stage actually, like mosh pit style. And he's walking from left to right if he's singing during the live recording of a track.
Yeah.
And if there are heavy drum notes, I want to be able to feel that in my core when I'm sitting.
I think whatever cable has the most detail. I mean, you want to hear what's in the recording.
I want it to sound like I'm there, and I want the bass to sound very present. I want that cable to exercise the most out of those speakers' bass capabilities, in this case 16 hertz.
Mm-hmm.
In my case, definitive technology speakers, I would want my DevTechs to be present but not overbearing. So of course we would do some preliminary adjustments to make sure that this stuff is neutral, so that, because I know some DevTech speakers have the little knob. In our case, we're doing 803D3s. We're doing all sorts of neutral settings, and similar to the way you would test a projector for sharpness, you would turn the sharpness down.
Mm-hmm.
Explain to these folks and explain to me what we would be doing in terms of processing and amplification, in terms of neutrality.
Listen, we're just going to be using the Krell amplifier. It's a Krell Duo, 125 watts channel. The Illusion preamp. Of course, the 803 D3s. We're going to keep it at one level. It's going to be at one level on the preamp. We're not going to change anything on it. It's going to sit at one level. If one cable is louder than the other, if one cable is lower than the other one, then so be it, because we're not touching anything. Everything is going to be as
Everything has to be disclosed. Everything.
equal as possible.
The
Yeah.
processor settings, the amplification settings, the settings in the blue sound. The blue sound, what is that? Network player. The digital blue sound network player.
We're using the blue sound.
Every single
node.
thing has to be disclosed.
Yeah, we're using the blue sound node 2i.
That is those are the controlled variables.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been in a science class in a very long time, but I will tell you this.
We're not scientists.
But no, in this case
No.
we are. I mean, we're not using test equipment.
No, we're not
Okay,
using
we're
test
just using our own ears.
Mm-hmm.
But we have the independent
And-
variable, the dependent variable, and the control variable.
And
The
this is-
dependent variable, I'm assuming, if I remember correctly, if memory serves me correct, I like science a lot back when I was younger in elementary school.
And-
The
hold on.
dependent variable is the sound quality.
We just want to say we're coming at this as consumers. We're not coming in at this as scientific sound engineers.
Well,
We're coming at
I said
this,
that in the beginning. I said that I'm just, some bloke in the street.
Yeah, we're coming at this as the consumer that wants to buy nice speakers and some nice cables.
Do I have to buy it? Do I have to buy the most expensive cable to get the most out of this?
That's the question.
Yeah.
That's the question we want to know.
Right.
We're not coming at this as scientists. We're not taking measurements. This is all about not measurements, because who says
Battery
that
exhausted.
who says
Battery exhausted. Really? Oh, I
Get
didn't.
that-
I never
get
put it
that-
on high.
I did.
You
Get
did?
the- yeah. Get the red battery pack.
But
So,
you have it plugged in?
So yeah, we're not coming at this as scientists. We're not taking measurements. Just like the major population in the world that doesn't have means to measure anything. That's how we're coming at this as. And if that upsets you, then you are not a normal person like we are. So that's what we're doing. And if you're just going to rely on measurements, then you guys can rely on measurements. But I think the most of the people in the world, they don't have measurement tools to take measures of resistance and impedance and stuff like that. So that's what this cable shootout's all about. It's all about just coming. Like, I would personally like to know if I need to spend a lot of money on some cables, or do I have to spend money, or can I just buy the cheap cables? Because science ain't got nothing to do with this shootout. If you're all about the science, you can take your ass somewhere else, because it's not about science. It's about us just listening to what sounds good to us, which I think lines up with the majority of people out there. So we shall see. We shall see who's gonna win.
Why are you talking to them like that?
What's that? I'm just saying that it's not based on science. It's just based on what we think sounds good. They can like it or hate it, but that's what it's gonna be based on.
Why are you talking to them like that?
Because the whole audiophile world is all about, like, I don't know. Well, the audiophile world is kind of split upon, like, measurements and what sounds good. So there's two different camps.
We talked about this earlier. I heard that there is. Well, I'll wait till the camera gets back on.
two different camps.
But apparently, there's a camp out there in the audiophile world that says, when you're drinking and having a good time, everything sounds better. To us, when we're drinking and have a good time, as long as it's loud, and as long as it's intelligible. Before I proceed, let me just say this. Shane, I don't know if you remember this, but back when I first started this audiophile stuff, right? Back when I first became interested in anything remotely related to audio, right? What were my 3 principles of audio? And I know a lot of you guys may not like me for this reason or that, but I will just say this, that as a younger fella, you should be happy that someone like myself is remotely interested in audio at all, and speakers and stuff like that, because there's a lot of young folks who just are happy with Bluetooth speakers, like JBL's Bluetooth speaker, okay? I actually care about this stuff, all right? It's probably not my main hobby, But there's a sense of care that I take to this sort of thing. That's why I'm on this channel, and that's why I talk to you guys. So thank you very much again for listening. But anyways, when it comes to... Fuck, I lost my train of thought. But anyways, I'm going to have to open this up. I hope we're not, you know, I hope we're not talking down on anybody, because that would be really bad.
Nobody's talking down on anybody. Right, we're just talking down on the scientists that might be watching the stream. We're just talking down on you guys, because the shootout's not going to be about science whatsoever.
Yeah. I heard that
it's going to be not about science whatsoever.
Right.
It's going to be what sounds good.
Someone said that when you're drinking, everything sounds better. To us earlier, when we were drinking, everything sounds the same. And when we do this test, I just want to be clear that when we do this test, we're going to be sober.
Yeah, we're not going to be worried about what's conductive, what's flexible, what's not, what's bendy, what's soft, what's coarse, what's hard. We're not going to be caring what the cable is made out of. We're not going to be caring about what the cable looks like. We're not going to be caring about what the cable costs. We're just going to give you our opinion on what we think sounds the best. Everything else matters absolutely 0%. The sound quality is what's going to matter the best to us. So that's what it's all about. That's what we're going to be doing. And as far as I know, I don't think anybody else doing that. Nobody else has done it, at least on YouTube. I'm sure there's been like studies, but
yeah, I mean, blind tests.
Not as far as like a entertainment point of view, right?
Sober blind tests will be the best way to do things.
Yeah, and of course, we're going to write down our thoughts. Of course, we're going to write down our thoughts as we go along. I know what it sounds like. We're each going to have like a little piece of paper. I know what it sounds like. It would be like really bad if we didn't do that.
I mean, it's on, but what's going on? Do we have to bring the bag of peas?
Look at that.
Guys, we're testing.
New camera test as well.
We're bringing over. I actually brought over the new Sony ZV-1, or as some Canadians call it, the Sony ZV-1. And it's turning off on us. We got all the right parameters set on the camera to not turn off, and it's still freaking turning off on us. It turned off. Dude, it turned off again. Let me get that.
Ooh.
Let me get that. What's going on?
Yeah, we're trying a new camera out.
What's going on?
We're trying one of my future cameras that I was going to buy, but it seems like it's dying right now.
Give me that shit. Piece of shit. Fucking Sony is hyped up on making everything small.
All right.
This is what happens.
Well, let's wrap it up anyways. We just wanted to get some song recommendations.
Yeah, we would like song recommendations,
please.
please.
Give some song recommendations. Give some song recommendations. And listen. You guys listen to this and watching the Audio Quest video. Like, it's so uptight about the price of cables. It's a little ridiculous, guys. Some of the comments are a little crazy. A lot of stuff in the world costs a lot of money that might not be worth it. Cables are one of them. Cars are one of them. Food is one of them. Clothes is one of them.
There are a lot of things that is one of them.
There's a lot.
You know, like I said, everybody has a different hobby.
Yeah, this is speakers and home theater and audio. It's an expensive hobby.
It really is
ultra high end. There's affordable stuff. For me personally, Audio Quest offered to give me these ridiculous $6,000 cables and $4,000 cables.
Picture profile, get it out of here, dude.
I think if they offered to give you some cables to check out, I'm pretty sure nobody would be like, no.
I know, right? You would be curious.
I'd be very curious.
Come on, why are you flaming?
Yeah, so
what's the flame action about?
So, yeah, don't get upset about it. Don't get so sensitive about the price of
Everybody's
the cables.
sensitive nowadays.
Super sensitive. Listen.
Ever since a certain official became leader in this world, everyone has become so sensitive.
Hey, listen. They want to send some $6,000 cables my way. I'm like, hell yeah, I want to listen.
You're
to
curious.
them. I'm
curious.
I want to know what $6,000 cables look
like. We're able to do a test. I said that earlier. I said thank you so much, everyone, for to the companies and to the folks that are listening.
Yeah, how many normal folks out there know what $6,000 wire sounds like?
Everyone is curious.
I'm very curious.
You know how they say curiosity killed the cat.
Yeah.
We're the ones that are curious, and we're getting killed over here for you. So that's why, again, I say thank you for tuning in and listening and being interested.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I enjoy the negative comments because they're very humorous. I've read them all. I've read all the negative comments, and I enjoy the negative comments, even though some of them are directed towards me and my wallet. Listen, I didn't buy the cables. I'm not gonna buy $6,000 cables. That's a hard purchase even for me, and I've spent some expensive stuff on the channel. Bought some expensive stuff on the channel. That's a hard pill for me to swallow myself. But I definitely accepted the cables to
Dude,
check
this
out.
shit's hot. Feel that.
And I'm happy to check them out. So that's why we're doing this.
You have to get the dummy battery.
Because we like to know what I like to know what $6,000 cables sound like versus $40 cables.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why we're doing this.
Okay. Are we taking comments?
Should we take some comments? All right, let's read a couple comments. Read a couple comments here.
I think we need to get the dummy battery for this. For moments like this.
We have Spare Change has the best change.
There we go. Thank you very much.
There you go. Thank you. I enjoy my change. Got some 4K Blu-ray comments. We'll try to keep this on. On cables. SVS cables for the win. Looks good and works. Plus, it's not priced too crazy. There you go. I always wonder. See, here's the thing. I always wonder when I get these comments like this stuff is way too expensive. Like, how many of these people that leave the comments that say cables are way too expensive, how many people have actually tried those cables in their systems before they left the comment? What percentage would you give that?
If they tried it and then shit on the cable after you tested it?
No. Like, if somebody's like, that's way too much money for those cables, what are the odds of them actually having owned the cables and then leaving the comment?
Very small.
Very small. I always like those people that say that, because I'm sure that they haven't tried the cables.
Of course not.
Yeah. That's why I'm glad that we're here to try the cables for you.
For sure.
Always so negative. People always leave negative comments for like no reason. Like if you wrote the comment and say, "Listen, I've tried these cables, and they sound like shit compared to my $20 cables,"
Yeah.
then I'd be like, "All right, there'd be some more validity to it."
For sure.
Will you buy the top if there's a big difference? Will I buy the top cable if I think there's a difference? I don't think I would buy the top. Not for $6,000.
Let me get that battery.
If
It's not charging.
I mean, listen, if they offered to me for super cheapy, then maybe I'd buy them. But I wouldn't buy speaker cables for $6,000. What am I fucking crazy? I'm not that crazy. Ooh, I want to know what a $6,000 cable sounds like myself. Yo, Troy Evans, there you go. We got a positive guy. We got some positive guys in the chat.
We like positivity.
Positivity. That's what keeps the channel going and growing. We got some Daft Punk recommendations. The Weeknd, Starboy.
Starboy, very good. Very good track by The Weeknd.
Were we listening?
Electronic and bassy.
Were we listening to that today?
No, we listened to The Weeknd's latest album.
Listen, I think some audiophiles. I think we're gonna have something with instruments and, live or something like that.
Yeah, like I said, a test where you've got, well, actually where we are mimicking a lead singer walking stage left to stage right, or vice versa, or middle.
Shit, I'm digging the Bruce Lee t-shirt. Booyah, Bruce Lee. DJ Bruce Lee. Wait. This is actually me in my t-shirt. I'm going to be selling these. This is actually me on the t-shirt. See if I do. I do one of these. Looks like me.
What are you doing?
I'm doing my t-shirt.
Oh, okay.
I do my t-shirt. All right. We got some DTS. I don't think we can't do anything DTS because Cobuzz doesn't do it. Crystal Method. I mean, I guess we could do like something like live and then do maybe something a little more popular, more popish. Because then everybody listens to live shit.
Well, my thing about this test is that it has to be real world. Not it isn't going to be every day that someone wants to hear Roger Waters.
Listen.
And not everyone is going to want to hear Roger Waters.
People drop $6,000 on cables. They're going to be listening to Roger Waters.
And it's great music, don't get me wrong.
Is that shit working? Your camera working yet?
Not yet.
All right, we're coming at 1 hour. All right, so that's why we wanted to do the stream today. We wanted to get some recommendations for music for the Shootout. If you guys have something positive to say about the Shootout, then definitely leave a comment in the comment section. We'll also be putting this on the podcast, which is going to be on Apple iTunes and on Spotify as well. And if you guys also want to be a part of the Spare Change Patreon, listen, you can join for as little as $1 a month. It helps us to keep the channel going so we don't have to work a 9 to 5, so we can continue doing these videos and getting companies to send us $6,000 cables so people can bitch complain about them, and then we can do these shootouts. So for as little as $1 a month, it definitely helps out the channel. It definitely helps me out so I can continue doing these videos. And of course, making this my full-time job so I can continue pumping out this content for you guys. Definitely helps me out a great deal. And thank you everybody that has signed up the past week. You are loved by me.
There you go.
Loved by me.
Next stop, Papa John.
Let's hit up that Papa John's. Guys, thank you.
Papa John better sponsor us eventually.
Yeah, right? We need to do that shit. Guys, thank you for watching this video, this stream. Leave your comments in the comment section. What do you guys want to listen to? Definitely check out the podcast on iTunes and Spotify.